Suddenly, the old woman sees a precious vase. "Oh, look at this lovely vase, Harry," she says. "It's just the thing." Grandad picks it up, looks at it and says, "Yes, you're right. It's one of the nicest vases I've ever seen. It's really quite expensive, but we must have it." At this point, the vase startled the grandparents by saying, "Well, thank you for the compliment, but you know, I wasn't always this beautiful." Now, it's a fable, and in fables, vases talk. Well, the grandparents, shocked at first and surprised at the idea of a talking vase, said, "What do you mean you weren't always this beautiful?" "It's true," said the vase. "Once I was just an ugly, soggy lump of clay. But one day, a man with dirty and wet hands threw me on a wheel and started turning me around and around until I got so dizzy that I cried out, 'Stop, stop.' But the man with the wet hands said, 'Not yet.' And then he started to poke me and prod me until I hurt all over. 'Stop, stop,' I cried. But he said, 'Not yet.' Finally, he did stop. But then he did something worse. He put me in a furnace. And I got hotter and hotter until I could stand it no longer, and I cried, 'Stop, stop.' But the man said again, 'Not yet.' And finally, when I thought I was going to get burnt up, the man took me out of the furnace. Then a lady began to paint me, and the fumes were so bad that they made me sick to my stomach, and I cried, 'Stop, stop.' But the lady, she too said, 'Not yet.' Finally, she did stop and gave me back to the man again, and he put me back in that awful furnace. Again I cried out, 'Stop, stop.' But he just said, 'Not yet.' Finally, he took me out and let me cool. And when I was cool, another lady put me on the shelf right next to a mirror. And when I looked in the mirror, I was amazed. I could not believe what I saw. I was no longer ugly, soggy, and dirty. I was beautiful and strong and clean. And I cried with joy. Well, the grandparents bought the vase. With this little fable in mind, let's go back to the two disciples on the road to Emmaus. They meet a stranger, but they cannot recognize him. It's clear that they never really understood Jesus. Everything is in the past. Their hope is gone. Here they are, two ex-disciples of a dead prophet, their hope dashed by failure and nowhere to go but in the wrong direction. But Jesus isn't finished with them yet. Not only has he to walk them all the way to Emmaus, but he has to walk them through the scriptures to the point where they can recognize him with joy. And so it seems that Luke's story, after all, is the same as the fable about the vase. The versions differ, but the meaning is the same. And the meaning is the same for us. We go through life's journey, facing all kinds of difficulties. There are obviously the personal difficulties that all of us carry, but I think of other difficulties, like the situation we find ourselves in the world, the brutal, cruel war in Ukraine, or this political stagnation and boycott here at home that we're facing at the moment. Very often we have to take life's punches. We have to take the heat. And we want to cry out, "Stop, stop." But not yet is the answer that comes very often, and we wonder why. And the Emmaus story gives us that answer. Each one of us is being molded, formed, shaped into the person God wants us to be, into the person God dreams of us becoming. And more than that, we are not alone on our journey. The stranger is there, unrecognized, and from time to time we glimpse his presence. A poet has written this: "They walked the highway, defeated, alone. A stranger joined them and lifted the stone. He unfolded the scriptures, what the prophets had said. They shared life together, the cup and the bread. Then they knew him, the stranger, the man who was dead. He gave them the answer when love broke bread." It's clear all of us are on our own journey through life, And there are times when our paths are uneven, when our losses are heavy. There are times when we seem to be marching with no purpose while searching for the meaning of life and the meaning of death. But Luke has left us his Emmaus story to remind us that our lives are not without purpose, that we do not travel alone. Jesus cares, and one day we too shall shine bright and beautiful in the love of him who broke the bread.